is racing a little bit. Just awesome. I am so excited to be here in the forest, and for the next couple of days I've got a real challenge on my hands, potentially one of my toughest ever. I'm looking for an animal which so far has eluded me. In my last 2 visits here I just got the briefest of glimpses, so this time I'm really hoping I can spend a little bit more time with the animal, getting photographs and videos as well. It's such a special place and such a special animal, so fingers crossed this weekend will be the time we can finally do that. Already had an exciting moment. I saw this dark shape in the forest, so I got my binoculars out and I thought, you know, wow, we've already found a wild boar, but it was just a tree stump, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more of that this weekend. This morning has been quiet so far, but it's still so nice to be out, and I wanted to take this as an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the species we're looking for and also why this is such a special place. This is one of very few forests in England which I believe is close to being fully functioning, and the reason for that is the wild boar, which is exactly what we're looking for. Now, with its behaviour, the wild boar will dig up the turf in order to feed on the roots and the worms and the insects beneath, and in doing so it helps seeds to germinate, helps insects to thrive, which in turn helps the bird populations to thrive, and it just has this huge upwards cascade. So it's absolutely amazing to be in an environment like this. Of course, we're still missing apex predators like lynx and wolves, but this is one of very few places in England where we're close to being a fully functioning ecosystem. It's going to be a real challenge to find them, but if we do, it's going to be really special. I decided to do this trip in February for 2 reasons. The first one, which is really important, is that it's not ground nesting season, which means the ground nesting birds haven't arrived to start their nesting behaviour yet, so I wouldn't be disturbing any of them. And also, at this time of year, the bracken has mostly died back, so it's really a lot more obvious to see where the boar have been and hopefully to spot them. As you can see here, the tracks are so clear, and you can even see where one has clearly made a bit of a daybed. Wow, that was close. My heart is racing a little bit. We've had the first glimpse now of a few wild boar. They've just moved off a little bit because unfortunately I didn't see them and they clearly must have heard me coming, but that's amazing. I was just beginning to think, you know, wow, the scale of the challenge. I was just remembering the last times I was here and the amount of walking I did without seeing anything, so I'm also so conscious as well that the population now is much smaller than when I did this before, because in the absence of any predators, the Forestry Commission have to cull the boar and they've reduced that population so much. So I was thinking, you know, this is really going to be so hard after a few hours of searching and not seeing anything, but now we've got a chance. So you can see all around here, this is the wild boar just digging up, you know, these massive clumps of earth to do their feeding. And this is everywhere, these signs, so they're clearly around, and we know that because we've just seen a few. But getting close to them and getting photos and actually being with them for more than a few brief seconds is a totally different thing. But fingers crossed, later today or tomorrow we're going to be able to do that. So down here we've got some perfect examples of wild boar prints, and I'm going to show you how to tell the difference between them and other animals like deer. And you can see how the hooves kind of point like this. I'm not swearing at you, I promise, but they kind of point like this, and that's how you tell the difference between a wild boar and a deer, because with deer they'll kind of curve inwards to a more of a point at the end. So I've just been following these tracks here, which are pretty much going in both directions, but there are definitely some wild boar tracks like this one here which are heading this way. So I was just following that for a little bit, but then I've come across someone walking their dogs who's just told me that there were a few wild boar a little bit further along the path a while ago. So maybe I'll give up on these tracks, because to be honest I have no idea how fresh they are. I'm not an expert in tracking, and there's just tracks everywhere, so it's impossible to tell which ones to follow. So I think the fact that he's seen some boar, that's probably a better sign for me, and I'm going to head that way now.
I couldn't see any boar on the path, but there were quite a few cyclists now as well, so I decided to follow these tracks through to a trail that was slightly further away from the main footpaths.
My heart is racing right now, and I am so happy. I haven't had this feeling with wildlife photography for a while. It's always amazing, and I always have a great feeling with wildlife photography, but there is something about seeing and photographing a new species, especially one you have worked so hard for, that it's just an incredible feeling, and I am so happy. My heart is racing. I'm speechless. I just followed this path up into the middle of nowhere, and there was no one around, so I thought this is perfect. And eventually I saw some movement in the forest, so I lay down on the ground, and 5 or 6 wild boar crossed the path in front of me. Some of them ran towards me for a bit as well, which just got my heart racing even more, because you know, this is it's not a dangerous animal, but in terms of what we've got in the UK with potential to be dangerous, this is probably the one. So yeah, it really just gave me a huge rush. And you know, the pictures aren't perfect, but what an amazing start for my first morning, and I'm so happy with a couple of them. Just awesome. It's amazing that when you search so long for something, it just makes you want it even more. But then when you finally see it, it makes you want it even more again. And I'm now just so motivated to just spend the rest of the weekend, as planned anyway, to be in the forest looking for these wild boar, to get better pictures, and hopefully as well to get some video to show you too. But I'm still just over the moon with that experience, and I've probably got now an hour more of walking I'm going to do, and then maybe I'll sit down and have some well-earned lunch.
After lunch, I was on the lookout for somewhere good to leave my trail camera for the night. I was so desperate to capture something on this. I'd been given this by Ceyomur, which was very kind of them, so I wanted to test it out, and fingers crossed we could capture some footage of the boar on it. chose this location because there were so many tracks around here, as you can see, so I just thought there had to be an opportunity to capture some boar here. I left it and crossed my fingers. I explored the forest for a couple more hours, but it was to no avail and I hadn't seen any more boar. But suddenly I turned the corner and I had an awesome surprise. This is crazy. I need to be so quiet because I've found a few adults and some babies as well, and they're just feeding and playing. I cannot believe it. I'm gonna put this away and just try to get some pictures and some videos and enjoy the moment. The moment was brief, but really special, and I was so happy to have seen those young wild boar. They're called humbugs because of their golden colour and the stripes along their bodies, which hopefully you were able to see enough from that very short bit of footage. I decided now, with 1 hour left of daylight, that I would just sit myself somewhere and cross my fingers and hope that maybe some boar would come across my path. After a lot of waiting, it wasn't to be, and I hadn't seen any more boar this evening. So I packed up and headed back to the Airbnb. Having been out in the forest since 7:30 this morning, I'm approaching my 9th hour here, and I'm making my way back with just one picture from today, but that one picture is something that I'm just so happy about. Of course, I would have loved more, but it gives me a really good feeling for tomorrow. I feel like, having seen them today on a few occasions, I think I have a better understanding of their behaviour, where they'll be and how I can maybe find them. So yeah, I feel really good about tomorrow, and I feel really happy that I have that picture from today. So hopefully we'll get some more action tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. Once I got back to the Airbnb, I made myself some dinner and then had a chance to sit down and have a look at today's photos. There weren't very many of them, but I was really happy because I thought I only just got one good photo, which is the one I showed you earlier. But there was another one that I was really pleased with as well. So overall, I was really happy with today, and I just couldn't wait for tomorrow morning again. Good morning, we're back out again, looking for the wild boar this morning. I've changed my approach slightly because I've ditched the tripod and the rucksack. 9 hours walking around with that yesterday has not done my back any favours at all. I was pretty sore. So yeah, ditched that. Just got my binoculars and my camera this morning. We'll see how I got on with that, because yesterday with the tripod, going through all the undergrowth, it was just getting caught in the bracken and the branches, which was making way more noise than I wanted to. But hopefully this time I could be a bit more stealthy. The car is close by though, so I can go back and grab my tripod if I want to. I'm also going to do a little bit less talking to camera and just really focus on trying to find the boar and getting some pictures. Wish me luck. I spent the first hour of my morning winding my way through the forest in the direction of my trail camera, all the while searching for the wild boar. As I got close to the camera, I heard something move and peered through the trees to see a very quick movement. It was just one shape, so I thought that it must have just been a deer. So I've just been wandering towards my trail camera, and I'm very happy to report that it is still there. So let's pick that up and see if we've captured anything. And I really hope we have. It's been on my mind since I set it up yesterday, just wondering if any animals might have come past.
a really cool shot. I'm going to take this away to somewhere a bit more open because I'm conscious there could still be some wildlife close by, but it does look like we got something amazing on this. Okay, I think it's time to take a bit of a look through this footage. I'm so excited to see the results. Wow, that's nice. Let's see. Wow, that is amazing. Oh wow. That's awesome. I'm so happy. I mean, I've never had trail cam footage like that, and I have to say thank you to Ceyomur for giving me this to use, because I'm really, really blown away, and genuinely I mean that. I know it was a gift, but that's awesome that it's worked so well. And to have got that footage is so cool. I can't wait to get onto my laptop and just see the quality, but it really looks awesome. And I'm so happy because I was worried that I wouldn't have the chance to capture video of the boar to show all of you, but this has done it for me. Having said that, I hope I can still get some in person a bit later on today, but yeah, I'm just absolutely so thrilled to have seen that, and I'm so happy that I put the trail camera where I did. This is a group of 8 female boar. They often hang out together in groups known as sounders. I replayed the footage, and I made a note this time of the direction that the boar were travelling and the timestamp in the bottom right hand corner, 8:20 in the morning. I then compared it with when I arrived at the trail camera, which was 8:35, just 15 minutes later, and I realised that the direction I'd been coming from was the exact direction that the boar were walking in. I must have been so close, and that noise I heard in the forest earlier, I now have no doubt that that was these boar. The previous evening, at around 5:30, the trail camera also picked up another couple of boar, and this video was really cool because you could really hear the sounds that they make. That was totally unexpected. I've just photographed something that I've never photographed before. It's not a wild boar, and it was ridiculously cute. Have a look at this. That was so unexpected to see that vole. Never did I think, if I was photographing some other wildlife apart from wild boar here, that it would be that. I thought it'd be deer and birds, but awesome to see and to get a picture. And it's been a great morning so far. I haven't seen any wild boar, but I'm so thrilled still with that trail cam footage. And then that bonus shot of the vole is just, yeah, really good. And we've got so much of the day left, so I'm still very optimistic we can find some boar as well. I'm using my binoculars a lot more today because there were a couple of occasions yesterday where I just didn't see them until I was too close, and then they ran off. And they are so hard to spot. They're so well camouflaged in amongst the bracken and the dead leaves. So yeah, I'm hoping that by using binoculars a little bit more often today, I maybe have a better chance of seeing them before they see me.
The forest floor was covered with crunchy, dry leaves and twigs, and every step I took had to be carefully planned out. I really didn't want to disturb any wild boar, or any other wildlife for that matter.
This morning's search for the wild boar has been tough, to say the least. I've covered quite a lot of ground, walking even more slowly and quietly than yesterday, and using my binoculars every 20 meters or so to scan absolutely everywhere, but I haven't even had a glimpse of them. So it's been a real challenge. I'm going to try one more place in a moment before I stop for some lunch, and then I just really hope that this afternoon we can get one more good moment with the wild boar. So here we go for the final time this trip. 3 or 4 hours left to find those boar one last time. I also realised I haven't talked much about the population here and the history of them. Basically, wild boar were hunted to extinction in the UK, and then a few escaped or were intentionally released, no one really knows, from a farm nearby here. And they've created quite a good population that got up to, I think, close to 2,000 at one point, but the Forestry Commission decided that that was too high of a number, and they've now culled them, and they're aiming for around 400. I don't know the ins and outs of how they've come to that figure. I personally think it's a shame, but there's a lot of controversy around them being in the area because, you know, they cause damage to lawns and stuff, and, you know, that upsets some people. But I don't know, I think they have a right to be here, and I'm sure that, you know, the boar were upset when they were hunted to extinction, so maybe digging up lawns is some kind of karma. But anyway, let's get going and see if we can finally find them one last time.
After a couple more hours of searching, I was so tired, and I decided that maybe for the last hour or two, I would just sit down and wait nearby where I saw that family of wild boars yesterday. After an hour and a half of waiting, the sun began to dip below the horizon. I still hadn't seen any wild boar today, and I was beginning to have the realization that I probably wouldn't. I was really sad not to see these magnificent animals again, but I was so grateful that I had seen them, and just knowing that they were there in the forest was enough for me. I'd had an absolutely awesome time, and I never knew, maybe on my walk back to the car, I still might see something.
So I've not been having much luck at all today. In fact, I haven't seen any wildlife since that vole this morning, but I have just seen my first deer of the weekend, just as the sun is about to go down and I'm about to head back to the car. So that was really nice, a beautiful fallow deer on the edge of the woodland. Having spent another 9 hours now in the forest today, I still haven't seen one single boar. It is definitely the toughest species that I've ever tried to photograph so far. Having said that, it's been a great challenge. I've had so much fun, and I am so grateful for the moments that I had yesterday, as well as for the 2 animals that I did see today, that vole earlier, and then also that fallow deer just now. But yeah, the most important thing is I've still had a great time being out in nature, and I really hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. I'm so sorry that I didn't get to show you more. I wish I could have done, but that's just how it is sometimes with wildlife photography. I think all that's left to say now is thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.